content creating. Today's lesson is going to be water healing, healer slash tank with water. So today we're going to cover what the progress is, what you need, what your artifacts are going to be, mutagens, stuff like that. So we're going to get started. First, let's go ahead and start with your traits. So with water, you got your two loadouts. You got your healer and your damage. Now everyone's going to play differently. Healer loadout that I find to be very useful is this one right here. You're going to start with Solace of the Sea. Creates a pool of medicinal water and aquatic life that heals you and your allies over time. Followed by Riptide. You're going to use these two specific in conjunction. Alright. After Riptide, you're going to use Pressurize for buff. This will play into one of the artifacts that we cover in this video. After Pressurize, you're going to use Tempest Guard. This goes hand in hand with a couple of artifacts as well as some of the mods that we have into our armor. We'll cover that later on in the video. But as you can see, summons a shield made of water to guard you from some incoming damage, and it guards up to 7 group members when you're in your healing role, which if you follow this this specific loadout, you won't ever need to leave healer role. Mending Wave. That's going to be the last after Tempest Guard. Group heal. Power interactions, if you're in high tide, it will critically heal. Don't worry about that because honestly, you're not going to need high tide for this loadout. After Mending Wave, we're going to follow up with Flood of Power. This is going to be your supercharge. Now, it's very critical that we use Flood of Power because as a healer, your job is to keep the group alive. So with Flood of Power, that will immediately restore and give you restore over time effect for your power and health, which is honestly really helpful. When this loadout is successfully done and used, so your animations, one, should look like this: Solace of the Sea, Riptide, then Solace, Pressurize, Tempest Guard, Mending Wave. Once you do that, honestly, that's pretty much the loadout that you're going to be using for all your healer water raids. Outside of that, you're going to be using Flood of Power. Now, we'll get more back into that in a minute. Let's cover a couple of artifacts that you're going to need for this. First things first, you're going to want Scrap the Soul Cloak. Scrap the Soul Cloak is very useful. It increases your maximum supercharge and supercharge generation by 27% and reduces all of your supercharge ability cooldowns by 22.5%. It's really going to be the best kind of artifact you're going to want to run for this particular build. Eye of Gemini. That's the next artifact you're going to need. Once you get it maxed out, you're going to be mainly using the Gemini's Vision. So using a supercharge in combat, artifacts, Caster's Watch, or Pollux Gaze for 6 seconds. The player is not already under the same effect. Cooldown 6 seconds. Pretty cool. Restores 2%, 3%, and 6% health, and 0.5% all the way up to 3% supercharge every second for supercharge abilities, costing all the way up to 10,000 supercharge. When Caster's Watch expires, all friendly players within it are healed for amount of health restored by Caster's Watch. And standing in Caster's Watch grants you 5% dominance, health, and restoration. You're not going to want to worry about Pollux Gaze. You're really going to just want to worry about Caster's Watch, because with this loadout, you're not going to be in damage roll, so Pollux Gaze will do nothing for you. Outside of that, maxing it out gives you 6,375 health, 6,693 power. Pretty useful. So the next artifact we're going after is the Purple Healing Ray. Purple Healing Ray, at max, gives you 5% plus 5% power, total 10% of 15% max, plus 4% restoration, total 13% of 15% max, and plus 3% health, which is a total of 12% plus 15%. Purple Light, that's going to be the main effect that you're really going to be using here, and that's really the only effect that you really need from this. The healing charges your Purple Healing Ray up to 4 times your total restoration with Purple Light. Once charged, your next priority heal or group heal gain new benefits and expends your Purple Light. That's good as it is. Now, depends on how you want to play as a healer. Me personally, I prioritize the group over myself. My natural health regeneration is well enough that I can heal through anything at this point. You'll see in one of the times that I broadcast during my raid. But really, priority heals are good. However, you know, I would rather have the heal over time effect from the group heal instead of Epion's Grace. Carissa's Revitalization, in my opinion, is far more powerful and useful than Epion's Grace, as it places a heal over time on you and your allies for 8 seconds, increases heal over time value by 25%, and it resets the cooldown of priority and group heals, along with restoring 20% power. Far more useful. Yeah, so those are going to be your first 3 artifacts that you're going to want to get and work on. Next artifact that we're going to work on is the Clarion. So even I still don't have Clarion maxed out. That's the one I'm working on right now. So Clarion, Restorative Melody. Using the power of the Clarion, executing weapon attacks heals up to 4 nearby players with the lowest health for up max of 7% of a priority heal. This effect is temporarily empowered when activating your weapon buff, giving you a max of 30% of a priority heal. Clarion's Guard, when you're empowered by a weapon buff, targets above 95% health, healed by Restorative Melody, receive a shield for 12 seconds. This shield's effectiveness is increased by a max of 100%. Players can only benefit every 30 seconds. And then you also, and this is one of the reasons why you're going to be getting the Clarion as well. Clarion is like strictly healer. Like it's really great. Now, yes, it can also be used for tanks, but it's really best for healers, and you'll see that once you use it. So Arian's Might, again, when you are empowered by weapon buff, weapon attacks deal a max of 40% of your restoration and max 12% of your precision as damage to all enemies near the targeted foe every 6 seconds. And again, for this preset, I'm going to recommend, like, you can fight the way you're going to fight. I personally recommend using hand blasters as your weapon of choice for this preset. The pulse beam itself, once this will be maxed out, will do excellent damage. It already does great damage in my hands as it is. You know, weapon style shouldn't really matter too much. I know with hand blasters, you're able to do long range, mid range, and close range combos. So mess around with it, tweak it, see what best works for you. But the artifacts you're going to want to keep for this. Grimorium Verum is going to be the final artifact that we focus on in this video for this preset. And that's the reason why we're going with Grimorium Verum instead of a few other healer-based and tank-based role artifacts that I've seen players use. As a healer, your job is really not to be doing damage. Now, granted, there are ways, unless you have insane power, there are ways that you need to restore your power if you don't have a competent troll. I believe that you should always be able to be flexible like water. Be able to hold your own, but be able to rely on the rolls inside the raid. But if you're in a raid and it's everyone's DPSing and you have no tanks, no trolls, nothing, it's just you and you're the only healer, you're going to want to be able to protect yourself because not everyone's going to be able to buff you. So that is why I built this tanky DPS healer. So what you're going to want to do with Grimoire and Verum, and the reason why you want Grimoire and Verum, doesn't matter really the effect, because none of the water effects on this preset work with crushed effects. But you know, it brings out a small little henchman you can use that every time it dies, it just comes back the moment you make a weapon attack. But your past cat, it summons a little creature of the void, and maxes out, and your pet casts a powerful damage beam for 2 seconds to its target that applies the following power interactions, and that's crushed for water. If you're using water, the water and earth, you get crushed effect. You know, it's really good to max out the Grimorum. If for nothing else, you'll at least get the stat buffs. So there's that. The effects on the Void Gazer doesn't really change too much. Now, if you're going for a full water aesthetic, you're going to want water golems and any other water-based uplinks or henchmen or supply drops that you can find to really go for that water aesthetic. It's not a necessary, but if you're OCD about it, go nuts. In the meantime, we're going to come over here and we're going to focus on augments. Now, as a healer, you want restoration. But if you're a healer who uses shields, you need to do what I'm starting to do, and that's also have high dominance. Now, recently, I just got 3 of my augments into the 400s, and you'll really see a difference. For example, this restoring metagene, it's at 402. Compare it to my restoring metagene that's 393. You can clearly see the stat difference, and it's really night and day. I would say all of these stats right here, at the very least, were just, at least 10,000 points weaker before I maxed out those 3 metagenes. Now, like I said, you also want to get strong dominance. Dominance is what I'm working on. Here's how you're going to really make this effective. So let's move on over to traits. So we're not going to focus on weapons or movement because that all depends on your play style. Iconic powers. This does help a little bit. You want super strength. If you don't have it, get a skill point, put it to super strength. That helps in the overall grand scheme of things. Most of your points, though, that haven't gone to your movement speed, weapon, or super strength, you're going to come down here to your stat points. Now, if you want power and power regeneration, go super powered, but that's not why we're here. For this loadout, you're going to want Focus Hybrid. It's best for healer. It's best for all types. You're going to put 20 into critical healing chance. Don't put anything else into anything else. Once you finish critical healing chance, you're going to come down here and you're going to put. You're going to want to focus on maxing out your restoration. So, as you can see, 220 into restoration. It's pretty strong. I've got 10% buff honestly, your ideal loadout should look like these three. These three right here should be maxed out as much as possible. Um, because though you have 20% critical healing chance, you are going to need that critical healing magnitude to go hand in hand with that. Um, the critical healing magnitude will determine the potency of your critical heals. So once you get these this maxed out with 20 skill points, you're welcome to hit critical magnitude first, but really your main focus should be your restoration. I would say once you've got your restoration into the 200s, bare minimum 200, that is when you can start diverting your skill points elsewhere if you have some to spare. If you're going to do that, I recommend any spare points you give that you don't want to put to restoration, put them in the dominance. Now, you could just go skill point to skill point. Every time you get a skill point, just put it in one of your skills. Or you could do what I did and one of my mentors did, and that's just let your skill points build into groups of 5 or 10, and then once you have enough that you want to spend, delegate 5 or 10 to your skill of choice, to your stat of choice. But like I said, I am again, critical healing chance first, max that out. Restoration, focus on that next, and then dominance should be after restoration, after these three, honestly. So for right now, that's where we are. There's more that you can do with this loadout, honestly, but yeah, the numbers speak for themselves, and honestly, you'll see once you're current CR and you've got the stat points for it, you'll see the difference in the raids. You'll see your numbers go from 50,000 heals all the way up into the 10 to 20 millions. My last raid, I ended up healing about 30 million, doing 30 mil in heals. And that's pretty much all there is for this water set. Oh, no, there's one more thing. Allies. So honestly, for your allies, 2 allies you're gonna want Shazam. And the reason for that, he's perfect for the healer role. His passive ability as a healer role is your weapon attacks grant stacks of 1% restoration up to a maximum number of stacks. Using a priority heal or a group heal ability removes all stacks, and the cooldown is 0.5 seconds, so you'll be able to build those stacks right back up. So you're going to want Shazam, and then the other one you're going to want that I'm currently working on is you are going to want Black Adam. At first, I thought you'd want Oraclebot because she gives back 12.5% power. However, after delving into Black Adam and seeing his second ability, she really becomes obsolete at this point. You can always increase your power through metagenes and augments and other exabyte materials. However, Black Adam's support ability of supercharged generation, the power of a 10, that is far more useful. As this preset mainly focuses on boosting your supercharged generation and resetting your loadout. The power of a 10 supercharged generator abilities generate 15% more supercharge. That's crazy. And honestly, that's one of the best reasons why you should have him as your support ally. So really, when you have him, once you have affinity level 6 with him, your allies should be Black Adam and Shazam as your supports. That'll really boost your healer role to maximum efficiency. Otherwise, I hope this helped, and stay tuned for more content. As always, hit that like and subscribe.